carried. Adoption of the minutes. The council will adopt the minutes of the regular afternoon council meeting held on January the 15th. Is there a motion? Councillor Long, seconder. Councillor Whitmarsh. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. So a motion to resolve into special closed a meeting. So could I have a motion to resolve, please? Councillor Qualley, a seconder, please. Councillor Long, is there any other items for consideration? We have 6 on the agenda at this point in time. Councillor Arneson? Intergovernmental, that'd be H3 if I'm correct. H3. Councillor Long?
Yeah, I have 2 items, a property item and a legal item.
Property item would be H4 and the legal would be H5. Okay. Any others? Thank you very much. So we will resolve into special closed. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, my apologies. Show of hands, all those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Can we start without him? All right. My apologies for that long special closed meeting. The guy that was running it, I guess. Anyway, so we're reconvening the afternoon council meeting agenda, starting with reports to council. F1 2018 Grant Opportunities Report 18-08. There's a motion. Could I have a mover to the motion? Councillor Sparrow and Councillor Qualley. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor? Oh, yeah, you got to press your button here. I got to call the vote. There we go. All in. Did you label it? I didn't label it. It's F1. F1. Vote completed. There we go. It worked. Awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Moving along to F2. Errors by the British Columbia Assessment Organization, Report 18-13. Is there moved by Councillor Whitmarsh, seconded by Councillor Sparrow. The council approve the $27,452.70 in property tax refunds to the owners listed in the report. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the vote, if you wouldn't mind, please. And passes unanimously. Okay, moving along to F3. We have the open house and public consultation results on the draft of the 2018 to 22 financial plan, report 18-11. There's a motion there. Councillor Sparrow and Councillor Arneson. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on F3. And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. So moving along to F4, the 2018 one-time operating project requests, report 18-12. There's a motion there. Is there a mover? Councillor Sparrow. Is there a second for the motion? Councillor Davis. Okay. I have some speakers to the motion. Councillor Richter.
So these one-time operating projects, were they included in the budget that came to council that we sent to the public?
Effectively, that's correct. What we did was we brought forward the carry forwards and we brought forward some of the special ones that were listed. Again, these are over $50,000. Traditionally, these have been part of the slides that are presented to council, but because we accelerated the timing of these matters, we weren't able to get the slides to you, so we've included them in the process as quickly as we could.
Okay, so, and that means, because there's no total amount here,
Right.
do we have a total on all of them?
Karen can probably provide the total, but remember, these are by and large projects the council has previously approved in previous budget cycles, so we're not reapproving the projects, we're simply authorizing the carry forward of that money to this year because the projects are part way or halfway or whatever they may be.
Okay,
at this stage.
and so what is the impact on the 1.95% tax increase?
I don't think it
of
impacts it
including
because of
these.
carry forward. So it would be a zero impact, correct, Karen?
Zero impact? Okay, and I wanted to know, council ambassador, what is that and why is it $174,000?
Because that's the one position that's been put in place by one individual the council's aware of that works exclusively with council issues. He was formerly the manager of bylaws and he's been in place, and this was a transitional move pending his future plans, which could include retirement, but is not required to include retirement.
So he's just continuing on in the job that he's been doing. Okay, and enhance and improve council training facilities for 100, like what training
corporate
facilities?
Well, that would be corporate facilities. That involves trying to retrofit or improve facilities at both the operations center, the fire hall, and any other facilities, perhaps in this building or something in between there, if we can actually get a better facility.
Okay, so maybe we should change the word from council to corporate, because
Corporate.
I was sitting there wondering, what do we get training on?
Yeah, that's corporate. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, so is that, can we take that as a point of information? And thank you.
okay.
Councilor Richter?
Yes, the Trans Mountain Pipeline Project, what's the $100,000 for that?
Mr. Seffi?
Aaron, actually.
Oh, Mrs. Singler. Ms. Singler.
That one is an ongoing participation in the intervenor process for Trans Mountain Pipeline.
Oh, okay. And then the 216th Street sound attenuation wall, we're still putting a wall in there? Have we decided on that?
That's correct. The wall is there. This was money budgeted last year, but of course the project is still underway, and that likely won't be done until sometime this year.
Okay. And the last question I had was on the Blair renovations. Is this additional money over and above the money we already set aside for the Blair renovations? Because they've run way over time.
I believe this is additional, I believe.
This is
but
additional.
money
It's for acoustic baffles and locker replacement. Thought that it would be the appropriate time to do it while it's under the shutdown.
Okay. So in essence, though, none of these are increasing the 1.95%.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question on F4. And it passes unanimously. So we'll move on to F5, which is the pre-approval of select 2018 capital projects, report 18-10. Is there any discussion related to that? That's the pre-approved the $1,080,000 in capital spending for select 2018 capital projects. Councillor Long.
I guess I'll move it, but I had a question.
Okay, you want to move it? Is there a seconder? Councillor Whitmarsh. Councillor Long.
So my question would be, there were discussions about road improvements in certain areas, and one that comes to mind that you might recall, Councillor Fox, is 24th Avenue. And I believe there was monies put into the budget. I'm just wondering if staff could answer, would there be any advantage in advancing that so work can be done sooner in terms of safety factor, weather, this kind of thing? Or, and if so, I'd be happy to entertain that. But I know that there was that would be a road improvement, and I didn't see it in the capital spending projects here for advancing.
Mr. Seffi?
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess the first part of the question, yes, we can confirm that there is funding available to do part of the improvements along that section of the road, and weather is always an important factor to keep in mind. There aren't really any other sort of factors that might have, I guess, worked towards staff making this a request for pre-authorization. But if council wishes to make that amendment, certainly we can start on it quicker.
Would you like to make that amendment,
Well, we'll
Councillor?
see how far it goes. Yes, I would like to. It's certainly a big concern.
Okay, so the amendment is made to include the $300,000 for the 24th Avenue patch and paving upgrades, seconded by Councillor Richter. Any discussion on the amendment?
So that's terrific, and it would be up to, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but there was also some discussion, I think, with the province in terms of some improvements on 264th that would go along with that, so I just wanted to highlight that too. I don't know if there's any funds required for it, but that certainly we need those discussions to happen simultaneously, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Arneson.
Yes, thank you. Further to the retaining wall and drainage.
Oh, just on the amendment right now.
Oh, sorry. Okay. We're not
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you. I don't know how to hold you, but I'll try. Councillor Richter on the amendment?
Yes, I just wanted to say that of the public input that we got in from the budget open house process, it seems that 24th Avenue continues to be a very popular theme. So I'm pleased that we're going to address it in this budget.
Thank you. Councillor Whitmarsh.
Yeah, my understanding, if I'm correct here, was that this was the money for the 24th was in the budget, but the purpose of the discussion today is to move it up and get pre-approval to get moving on it quicker. Is the reason for that under the health and safety category, or is there a reason that we do need to move this up since it actually was part of the 2018 budget process anyways?
Is that being addressed to the mover?
Could be to the mover, or I mean, I guess, I'm not sure unless there's help from staff that this is an imperative that we do this and pre-approve it, because that's the point of this discussion here, is pre-approving things ahead of time to take advantage of savings or other reasons outside of the
I just cut you off.
outside of the 2018 budget process, and we're suggesting that this needs to be done faster than the 2018 process, and I'm not sure that we know that it needs to be.
Maybe if I could, Mr. Seffi, do you have any input into that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess, fact that this is a weather-dependent type of work means that if staff did have the early approval authorized by council, then based on weather, we could start as quickly as possible, as opposed to waiting until after. And we don't expect there to be a period of time between now and, I guess, end of March where we could undertake some of the work. But having said that, one never knows with weather. So I guess this gives us the flexibility to continue with the work if and when the weather cooperates.
Thank you. Councillor Richter. Sorry,
Want me to put it
There we go.
Okay. I think it's safety. I think that was the message that came through loud and clear when the delegation came to talk to us. So I think this is, by us moving it forward, a sign of good faith. We understand the safety issues, and we're listening to the residents.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Whitmarsh, did you have anything to add?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good, thank you. Okay, having the amendment. This is moving on the amendment to include 24th Avenue dollars in the motion. So on the amendment, what do I call the amendment? F5A? Just F5? Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, and that passes unanimously. So then we go to the original motion of F5, which includes the 7 items plus the addition of the amendment. Any discussion? Councillor Arneson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I guess to staff, I see at the bottom of the list we have a retaining wall, and it does give an explanation that it has failed, and so I anticipate that I understand the work needs to be done right away. But I'm wondering if we could get some more information regarding this specific piece of retaining wall. Is this sort of a new situation? Are there ongoing geotechnical issues that we have to be concerned about? Just a little bit more detail would be appreciated.
Okay, through to Mr. Seffi.
We could provide that in a memo to council, Mr. Chair, if that's okay.
Would that be okay, Councillor Harrison?
Yes, that would be
Okay,
fine.
thank you. That's appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay, no more discussion. So this is on the original motion, F5. So we'll have a vote. Thank you very much, and that passes unanimously. Okay, so that moves us along to Correspondence G1, the Fraser Highway B-line. And there's a motion there to receive the correspondence, but there's also a request to have them come and make a presentation regarding the new Fraser Highway B-line on March the 19th at the regular evening council meeting. So, so moved by Councillor Qualley and seconded by Councillor Whitmarsh. Any discussion related to the motion and request? Okay, all those, you can vote then. Okay, and the motion passes unanimously. Okay, so moving along, we have minutes of committees. Can we have a motion to accept all the minutes of the committees as presented, and then there's some follow-up motions, recommendations. So we have Councillor Davis and Councillor Sparrow. So call the question on all of the minutes as presented. Okay, passed unanimously. Okay, thank you. And any questions related to H1 Heritage Advisory Committee? Seeing none, there is a recommendation that Council receive the minutes of the Council Advisory Committee meetings as listed above. So, Councillor Long, do you want to move that?
Your Worship, that's actually redundant to the receipt motion, so it's
Okay,
really
so
the next one you want to pick up on, which is going to be the work plan.
Okay, sorry. H2, then the Council endorsed the 2018 work plan for the Recreation, Culture and Parks Advisory Committee as presented in Attachment A, moved by Councillor Whitmarsh. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Qualley. Any discussion? Call a question then on H2. Okay, that motion carries unanimously. All right. Oh, you lit me up there. You're okay. You're okay. Gotcha. H3, there is a recommendation there. Moved by Councillor Sparrow, seconded by Councillor Whitmarsh. Any discussion related to the recommendation there with respect to Neil Colburn and Susan Falk? None? Seeing none, call a question. There we go. And passes unanimously. Okay, we have, subsequent to that, we have section I. It's I.1, which is the Joint School District Number 35 Municipal Liaison Committee. Can I have a motion to accept those minutes? Councillor Arneson, Councillor Qualley seconds them. Councillor Sparrow.
I just had a quick question to possibly Councillor Fox or Councillor Whitmarsh. It's not in the minutes for this meeting, but I wondered if it had been maybe discussed in previous, and I missed it, or if it could be maybe discussed in future meetings. Just an update on the Walnut Grove track. I know that they have a fundraising initiative to sort of finish the track, some lighting, I believe, and maybe some store. I walk past the sign every day. I can't remember. There's a couple things that they're trying to fundraise for. So they've received money through the township and the school district, but there's a couple sort of accessory items. And I just wondered how that was going, if you could maybe, if that's been discussed, or maybe we could find out just how they're making out with their fundraising for the track and when they might be starting work, or if they've already started work on the updates for the track.
Okay.
Staff might know that, or you might know that.
You know what I'm going to do is I see Mr. Tuamello over there. I don't know if this is in his jurisdiction or not, but I know that the track, I think, is finished, 6 lanes and functional. the fundraising for was ancillary items that they wanted to improve, such as lights. Do you know, Mr. Tuomello, anything that related to that, the fundraising, and if where the plans are at?
Your worship, no, I have not heard anything in regards to the ancillary items. I believe they're probably trying to achieve that in this fiscal year as opposed to carry over from the prior fiscal period.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe it could be something in future meetings. You could get maybe an update, just sort of how they're making out, if they're how they're doing. That would be great.
Okay. Could we make a note of that as a referral to the next liaison meeting? Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none. This is I1. So vote. There we go. And that passes unanimously. So, on to other business. I have a couple of pieces of other business, but I see there's some people here that have beat me to the buzzer. So, Councillor Richter.
Yes, Mr. Backen, or through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Backen. 4 gunshots were heard in the vicinity of 50th Avenue and 246A Street at about 10 p.m. on Friday night last week. And several of the residents in the area are quite concerned about what happened. There was a very significant police response, including the police helicopter circling the area. And I'm wondering if council could get an update on that situation that we could pass along to area residents.
So just for clarification, it was 4 gunshots, 256th and
50th Avenue.
And 50th.
At 10 p.m.
On Friday night.
Yeah.
Okay. Through you to Mr. Backen, is that okay? Thank you very much. Councillor Richter, anything else? Thank you. Councillor Long?
Yes, Mr. Acting Mayor. On the 25th of January distribution list, there is on item 10, a letter from Dean and Nisha Ganchar and Tony and Carolyn Wheeler. And it does have a note that it's been forwarded to community development, but just out of interest, when that request came to us, so this is just to de-stratify a property. So is community development looking into that, or does that require any council action, or is there, maybe staff can explain how that process works, because I got a couple of calls about it.
Thank you. Actually, I have that on my list as well. I think we should make a motion to move it forward to community development.
But the note says it has been. On the distribution.
So maybe through you to Mr. Sefi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The response, I believe, has been provided to the authors of the letter. This requires a direction of council to essentially amend the provisions in the area. I forget whether it's the zoning or whether it's the community plan designation. Similar, if you recall, if council recalls, to what happened in North Langley, Northwest Langley, with respect to providing for the historic zoning bylaw provisions of allowing 2 dwelling units on single lot, rather to have them go through a subdivision process and create 2 fee simple lots, while restricting each lot to 1 dwelling unit. So that requires the direction of council. And the information has been passed on to the writers of the letter.
So my understanding is that they're looking for council direction to move this particular request forward. So are you going to make a motion?
Yeah, well, if certainly, but I just wanted if staff can give us some advice, so that would be the appropriate thing to do. Is staff recommending that? Or was there some issues?
Mr. Chair, it's difficult to provide an informed opinion at this point, because we have not heard from the people within the area. This is just based on, I guess, input from a certain group. So it would be wise to sort of formulate a response and approach and present that to council, presumably with a bit of an engagement process of some kind, a public engagement process.
So then maybe I could refer that to staff for that, because I think we should get a report back on it, if that's okay. So we refer the issue to staff to come back with a suggested procedure to proceed.
Okay. Seconder? I'll second it. Okay. So if I could just take a second, this is exactly the same as the 87A scenario in 217th, which we de-stratified the section of 87A as part of a request of the neighborhood. So this particular request is one lot that's presently stratified, and they have chosen, as you can read through the significant documentation that they've provided, that they wish to de-stratify that particular lot. So any way, in shape or form that we could move that along. I just wanted to ask Mr. Seffi, what was the terminology you used? And go back, you just used it, and you have, council has to what?
Well, it requires council direction to staff as to how council wishes us to proceed, to bring forward the necessary tools to no longer allow for stratification, but rather, in lieu of the stratification, to provide for fee simple ownership of same number of dwelling units.
Worship, I think Mr. Seffi is simply trying to say that they would require a conversion from stratification to fee simple lots. So ultimately, council would have to provide direction to staff to actually proceed with the necessary processes, likely a rezoning or OCP amendment, to actually convert the lands from strata lots to fee simple. But he's suggesting that if it simply be referred to staff for the moment, we can outline that process to you as part of a report.
And how long would that report take, based upon the fact that it's very similar and parallel to the one from North Langley?
It is similar, Mr. Chair, but it does require staff effort, and as I said, of particular importance is determining what the majority of the people in the area, or at least other people in the area, might wish to see. That said, I would expect this to be a 3 to 6 month process.
Okay, so if just if there was consensus in the area, this is one piece of stratified property, but if there was consensus in the area to change the zoning to a fee simple across the board on 36A Avenue, then staff would determine that at some point. What happens if the proponents, if these particular two property owners wanted to go and get some information relative to that from their neighbors? They did it, for example, a neighborhood petition.
That would facilitate the work of staff, for sure.
Okay, so that could facilitate the work of staff and help in terms of moving this agenda forward. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. It's moved and seconded. Any other discussion related to it? Maybe we could just have the motion read again, if you don't mind.
That item 10 from the January 25th, 2018 distribution list to council be referred to staff for a report.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call a question. All those in, before I do that, what should I call this?
It's item J1.
J1. Thank you. Item J1, and all those, can we have your vote, please? And vote, that's carried unanimously. So that goes to staff at this point in time. So thank you. Okay. Anything else under other business? I have one thing yet. We received a letter, I'll bring mine up, from a resident in Brookswood about speed bumps on 36th Avenue. 36th Avenue seems to be a very complex and very, I know it's a major arterial road, I think it's this designation. Could we get my request is, could we get an outline of two things? Number one, what the list of requests for speed bumps is. I know it's probably in excess of 100 requests. And what staff's thinking is for continued speed enforcement or speed enforcement options on 36th Avenue. I would so move. Is there a seconder to my motion? Councillor Arneson. Any discussion related to this? It's referring to staff for two pieces of information. What's our request for speed bumps, and what are some options for speed attenuation on 36th Avenue? Councillor Arneson.
Oh, thank you. Yes, just to add further information to that, staff through Mr. Safey has already indicated that we'll be receiving a staff report, but it did not include the request for speed bumps. But there will be an overall assessment of the situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is just, thank you. Councillor Long?
And I can support an assessment and information from staff, because I'm not sure what classification that road is, and speed bumps may or may not be appropriate there, but anyway, we'll find out.
So that's in
his
progress.
motion, right?
So thank you. Mr. Seffi, did you want to add anything to that?
No, as I think Councillor Long referenced, or maybe yourself, Mr. Chair, the classification is currently arterial, so that does not provide for any traffic calming. So the only option is really additional RCMP enforcement. Having said that, one could take a look and I guess question the validity of the classification and determine if a lower classification is more appropriate. So that would be another option that we could recommend to Council as part of the report.
Okay, thank you. You're on it. I appreciate that. So do we need a motion for that, or is that just a direction to staff?
You have a mover and seconder, so you should dispose
Okay,
of the motion.
all right. So we'll call a vote on that. That would be K1?
J2.
J2. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. Could we have your votes in? And that motion passes unanimously. So thank you. Any other business?
Termination.
Sorry, my apologies. Councillor Whitmarsh, yes.
Thank you. Just very quickly, I know in the items distributed council on today, January the 29th, there is a memorandum from engineering regarding Glover Road and Rollison Crescent. And it's very helpful. Lots of detail went into this. I really appreciate the work that staff has done on this this request. I just wanted to confirm that in the next steps that are listed there are 3 items to improve this intersection. The way that I'm reading it is that these 3 steps will proceed along to make those changes, and then as 216th interchange at Highway 1 is developed, there will be further analysis to see if further things will need to be done. But as we know, at this point, these 3 things are going to be moved ahead. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that all the information you needed?
That's all I needed.
Thank you. Okay, so let's then try Councillor Davis again. Mover to terminate. Councillor Davis, seconder.
Second.
No, you can't move in second.
I'll second them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitmarsh. I mean, we're going to third. Councillor Davis, you in for third? There we go. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. I don't think we have to vote on that, do we? Termination? Yes? All those in favor? Contrary? Thank you. Reconvene in an hour. Oh, there we go.